a little background on JRR Tolkien, just to give you all a little bit of a guide. It would not be possible for Lord of the Rings to be made if The Hobbit wasn't published, because he got an extreme amount of pressure to write Lord of the Rings and to do a sequel for The Hobbit, because The Hobbit was just that good. The Hobbit was a children's book, and he was intending Lord of the Rings to be more on the lighter side and to be more of a children themed book as well. But as he started to write Lord of the Rings, he felt it to be a lot more darker than he intended it to, and it became more of an adult theme.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, man, how Tolkien was able to create this world, this huge map of places where like everything's named, like from forests to towns. They travel through all of Middle Earth to, be able to destroy this one ring, and it's just crazy. Again, like I said, just the world that he created.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Saving Point Podcast. I want to welcome you all to this show. On this show, of course, you clicked on it, is going to be the complete guide to Lord of the Rings. We're talking about the movies, the trilogy. So in this episode, we are going to be setting up the entire trilogy. We're talking about the cast, characters, the locations, the history of Lord of the Rings, all of that good stuff. But before we get into it, if you're new here, my name is Willie. I'm one of your hosts, and your other host over here on the other side, his name is Eduardo. How you doing, man?
It's good, man. I'm good. I'm excited. We've kind of talked about and mentioned some things about Lord of the Rings in the past, and yeah, this is a franchise that means a lot to both of us. So we wanted to do like a big kind of blow off show for you guys, going over all three movies and then giving you guys a little bit like of a history and kind of more in depth kind of behind the scenes and just a lot more information about the movies and stuff like that. So hope you guys enjoy this show.
Absolutely, man. And don't hesitate to go into the description box. There will be a timestamp of all the chapters that you can check out. So if there's anything that you just want to skip through and just check out that certain topic or chapter, don't hesitate to click on that timestamp. It would be beneficial for us and you to also comment down below your thoughts and opinions on this episode and give us some insight on what Lord of the Rings means to you and why do you like it. But with that being said, Eduardo, you want to jump on in it? You ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, we wanted to do, so it's going to be definitely a multiple episode thing, right? We're going to do one episode for each movie, and then this episode will be kind of, like you said, the complete guide of going over characters, locations, some history about Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, what the movies mean to us and everything like that. Talk about the score and stuff like that as well. So, yeah, it should be fun. I'm ready.
Hell yeah, man. I'm ready. Let's do it. The first chapter that we're going to be getting into is going to be kind of a talk about the creator of Middle-earth and the creator of Lord of the Rings, and that is, of course, JRR Tolkien. Without him, we would have no idea what Lord of the Rings is, and there would not be a Middle-earth realm at all. So yeah, with that being said, JRR Tolkien, which all of you probably have heard of and probably know of by now, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about him, but of course he is the creator and the mastermind behind Middle-earth, behind The Hobbit, behind Lord of the Rings. He was born January 3rd, 1892, and he passed away at the age of 81, September 2nd, 1973. And yeah, I mean, a little background on J.R.R. Tolkien, just to give you all a little bit of a guide and a presence to who he actually was. He served as a lieutenant in the first World War One, and after he served as lieutenant, he became a professor at a university where he taught and studied various languages and various other studies and arts, and that's pretty much where he started to form the idea of Lord of the Rings and of Middle-earth. And if we jump to his works, it's pretty obvious that we all know that he wrote The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And a little brief story on The Hobbit, even though we're not talking about it, The Hobbit was published in 1937, pardon me. And he never thought that The Hobbit was going to be anything. He wrote it as a children's book to read to his own children. but he was persuaded by other authors and other professors that he should definitely submit this book to be published. And thankfully he did, because it was a hit and it became one of the best selling children's books of all time. Now, with that being said, we're jumping into Lord of the Rings, right? It would not be possible for Lord of the Rings to be made if The Hobbit wasn't published, because he got an extreme amount of pressure to write Lord of the Rings and to do a sequel for The Hobbit, because The Hobbit was just that good. Now, for Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit was a children's book, and he was intending Lord of the Rings to be more on the lighter side and to be more of a children's themed book as well. But as he started to write Lord of the Rings, he felt it to be a lot more darker than he intended it to, and it became more of an adult theme. And those three books were originally published in three volumes in 1954 through 1955, and ever since then it blew up in the 1960s. And that's just a brief history of Tolkien's work and how Lord of the Rings became to what we now know it today. And from there, Eduardo, I mean, this realm and this universe that Tolkien has really given us from his work, it became a TV show, it became a cartoon, and then eventually became the epic trilogy that we are talking about today. And that is Lord of the Rings. Just to give everyone a brief summary of Lord of the Rings, which you all probably should know it by now, but if you don't, I'm just gonna read you this minute long read of just summarizing what Lord of the Rings is. Of course, Lord of the Rings is an epic fantasy novel and a movie that follows the journey of a hobbit named Frodo Baggins as he sets out to destroy a powerful and evil ring that could bring about the downfall of Middle Earth. Along with his loyal companions, Frodo must navigate treacherous lands and face dangerous enemies in order to reach the fiery depths of Mount Doom, where the ring can be destroyed. Meanwhile, the Dark Lord Sauron, who seeks to reclaim the ring and rule over all of Middle Earth, sends his armies to stop Frodo and his friends. The fate of the world rests on the success of Frodo's quest, and he must rely on the help of unlikely allies and the strength of his own will to overcome the challenges that stand in his way. The Lord of the Rings is a timeless tale of courage, friendship, and the battle between good and evil. That was a mouthful, and I think it was needed to be said, because it gives you kind of the outlook of what we are talking about. And if you have never seen Lord of the Rings, you've never read it, I think this guy would be helpful for you, especially if you want to read it and you don't know anything about it, which probably hard to say you don't know anything about it by now. But if you don't, welcome. And this is the complete guide. I just want to give you all a little brief history of the author JRR Tolkien and what Lord of the Rings is, and not to go too deep into all of that. But yeah, Eduardo, that was a mouthful that I just said. Is there anything that you want to add to this chapter about the history of Lord of the Rings or J.R. Tolkien, or anything about that?
Like you said, I think you nailed it pretty well. I got goosebumps just going
Hell
over
yeah.
the synopsis because, like you said, I just the whole trilogy is just playing in my head. Um, and then, like I said, I'm glad he created this whole thing. I'm glad that he even got pushed to further make sequel books on the Hobbit. Because like yeah, we got the greatest thing that was ever created because of that. And then I mean, people always put it up there where it's like this trilogy of movies is the best trilogy of movies ever created, man. Like it's that freaking good. So
It
yeah,
is.
that's great.
Yeah, man. There's a lot that we're going to get into. I think our next chapter here, our next section that we want to talk about is not so much about it. We're going to keep it a little bit more personal, and kind of explain to you all why Lord of the Rings. If you didn't know, this is our favorite fandom, our favorite lore, our favorite realm, our favorite world, all that good stuff. And I guess Eduardo, you want to go first and just tell the audience like what Lord of the Rings means to you, how old you were when you first watched it, and anything you just want to add personally about it.
Um, Man, I honestly I don't remember the exact age or anything like that when I was first introduced to this. I'm sure it was around like middle school age and stuff like that. I do remember like some of my older brothers like watching them or saying stuff, commenting about it. And then like I finally ended up watching it and stuff like that. So yeah, quickly, like I'm a big fantasy person when it comes to like the genre. So anything that involves stuff like this, like I'm hooked immediately. And but yeah, watching it since I was a kid, like I said, it means a lot, man. Like it's like I'll go back and watch it every so often now. And then we finally were able to watch the movies in theaters with this 25th anniversary that played, and yeah, I've always wanted the chance to watch these movies in theaters. And then we actually got a chance to watch the extended version of it, which was even better. Um, we got to see the full, complete vision that Peter Jackson had for these movies, and man, it was great. It definitely um, meant a whole lot to me to be able to finally be able to watch these in the cinema. So no, it means a lot, man. Like, so I'm a huge fan. Fell in love with the characters, the world that Tolkien created, and man, he did such a amazing job. And to think about creating Middle Earth, all these like languages, that like it's a lot of work. So he deserves all the praise for everything that he's created and what he did. Like I said, it's Tolkien's a name that everyone knows. Lord of the Rings is something that everyone knows. So yeah, like I said, it's my favorite piece of just anything in general to me. So yeah, I enjoy this all very much.
Hell yeah, man. I I agree with everything you said. I know it was your personal take, but I still agree, Wardo. Um, Shit, man, seeing it in theaters was like a whole new level, honestly, man. And to see it like extended in theaters, yes, it's 4 hours long, but like I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was
Mm-hmm.
so exciting. Um, but yeah, man, I think first time I got introduced, I can remember just a little bit. I was 6 years old when the first one came out, and I went to the drive-in theaters and saw Fellowship. And I don't really like remember the fucking film because I was six, but I remember the iconic Lord of the Rings logo that popped up. And everyone started clapping, and I was like, "What the fuck's happening? I'm six. This is cool, you know." But that was like my first introduction. And even as a child, I think music has always been a big thing for me. And the soundtrack and the score in these films, I think, really stood out to me before anything else stood out to me. I always wanted to watch this movie as a kid just to listen to the fucking score because uh, it was so good to me. And then there was a game on PS2 called Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, and I played that from like the age of like 8 to like 12 nonstop. And I think I burnt the fucking disc out because I played it that much. And I think that helped me also understand a lot about the fucking what it is that Lord of the Rings is, because as an 8 year old you don't really understand, but you got to play like fucking Gandalf and shit, and it was really like fun to kind of be that character. And then of course as we got older, Eduardo, me and you used to binge watch these fucking trilogies every year, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it really became something solidified in my life, and I know your life. This is definitely a fandom that we continue to watch. We continue to buy merch for. As you can tell, my whole background is merch, and it's the only fandom I think I have ever come across where I need to get my hands on every type of product that I see. But yeah, that's just a little snippet about my personal take of Lord of the Rings, man.
Nice, man. I love that. Um, yeah, like I said, it means a lot to us for sure. Same thing too, man. Like whatever I can get my hands on. Um, I mean, there's a bunch of pops in my background, but it's kind of hard to see them specifically. But I got a bunch of Lord of the Rings stuff too.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, man, it's something near and dear to both of our hearts and forever will be. And like I said, fell in love with the world, the characters, and everything that Tolkien created with Lord of the Rings. So
Absolutely.
um,
I think before we get into art, I
mm,
really want the audience to know how we love doing this podcast, but I think these couple of episodes that we're gonna do
Mm,
starting now is really dear to our hearts, man, because we put a lot of work taking notes and kind of
sure.
researching things of what we're gonna talk about because we want this show to come off as best as we can do it. And
Mm.
I think it's really special, man, that we're here and doing this, man.
Yeah, I think so too. And like I said, definitely just 10 times reinvigorated like the love for this thing when we went to go see these movies in theaters again. Like I said, I've always wanted to watch them, but man, going in theaters, being able to watch all three of them back to back that way, um, just just meant a lot, man. Like it, it's something that like being able to watch in that type of setting. Um, Man, it was definitely emotional for me. Like it was kind of crazy. Like after finishing the third movie in theaters, I was like, man, like it's pretty crazy. So yeah, for us to be able to do this and do like I said a big blow off thing for you guys means a lot. And I hope you guys enjoy the all this the work that we put into to hopefully make this good for you guys.
Absolutely, man. Without further ado, man, let's get into it. We kind of broke off different chapters of what we want to talk about, and I think Eduardo has a really good idea about directors and writers and all that. So our third chapter here, we're going to get into the director and the writers of Lord of the Rings, and yeah, let's hear Eduardo out, man. I'm excited to see what you got.
Mhm. So the director of all three movies is Peter Jackson, of course, which he also was a director of course, the Hobbit trilogy that came out afterwards, and then he also did like the no 2005 King Kong movie as well. So if you haven't seen any of his other work, he's just an amazing director. Um, so he's from New Zealand. So all of these movies were filmed in New Zealand. Um, the New Zealand just provided a lot of just natural landscape um, that was like mentioned in the book without having to use a lot of CG effects and stuff like that. Um, and then Peter Jackson, being from New Zealand, of course, is very familiar with the landscape, the land, and everything like that. So that just was offered him a perfect place for him to bring these books to life and all these places, which like it's pretty crazy. Like it really watching these movies really does seem like you're in a whole different. Like I mean, like it truly is Middle Earth, which is insane what he was able to do and capture with that. Um, Also, a couple of just extra little things. New Zealand also helped with just like uh, financial backings in making this trilogy because this was actually the first like back to back productions in Hollywood history. Like they've never went back to back with three movies, especially with an IP that, of course, people know from books, but never really done in this type of scale. And for the time that this came out, fantasy, because Peter Jackson mentioned this, I believe he actually mentioned this because he also did little like clips before the trilogy in the movies, which is cool. Kind of gave a little bit of stories about like what it was kind of filming these movies. Um, and he mentioned that yeah, like fantasy during that time really wasn't such a big thing, so it was a big risk for them to do this during that time. So like I said, New Zealand was a great place that gave a lot of like tax incentives, like I said, financial backings and streamlined permits for him to be able to do such a big thing. So um, aside from so like I said, he was a director. The writers from all the movies was also Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyers, and then Fran Walsh. So that those were the three writers for the first movie. The Two Towers had all three of them as well, but they also added Stephen Sinclair to the writers' room. And then Return of the King doesn't have Steven Sinclair. It's just back to the original Peter Jackson, Philippa Boyers, and Fran Walsh. And then Fran Walsh is also also the wife of Peter Jackson. So if you guys didn't know that, so she's been with him, of course, for a while. So even a lot of movies, like she was involved with like the Hobbit stuff as well, and things in the past that he's done. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of like a little brief summary of the directors and writers, and kind of a little bit of information of why like New Zealand was such a big place as far as like filming, and like I said, I think it did a great job with like I said, bringing off the descriptions of what Middle Earth was in the books to real life, man.
Hell yeah, man! That was a great fucking sum up. You taught me something, man. I had no idea Peter Jackson was from New Zealand, and
Mm-hmm.
I now it makes sense why he wanted to film there because he's from there.
Yep.
Yeah, I had no idea. So you definitely taught me some things, man. And just like you said, Peter Jackson really did make this world come to life in a really good way. I know. Didn't he like start to research and write this like back in like '95 or something like that? It was like a long
It was
time
yeah, it was a long
before,
time
right?
thing. Yeah. Also, I forgot to mention because like I said, it was a back to back to back. The whole production thing was a 438-day thing, so it was over 14 months that um, they were all together making these movies. And like I said, what he also mentioned in the like the beginnings of the movies, it wasn't shot like we'll shoot the first one, we'll shoot the second. It was all like we'll shoot like the third one, and then we'll go back and then like the next day we'll go and shoot like Fellowship. So it's crazy that he already had like this vision and story, and like everything was just already so well put together. Um, for something like this big and for it to turn out so like well, um, like just big credit to what Peter Jackson was able to do, because it's crazy, crazy.
I couldn't even imagine shooting 14 months in a row. And then also just the creative mind that Peter Jackson had to, just like you said, bounce around between three different films, but all in one take. Like for me, I would get very confused what I was doing. So kudos for him to keeping everything together and exactly know what he was doing, because it sounds like a lot. It sounds incredible, and I'm so thankful that he did all that because it came across really good, man.
Yeah, no, it's insane, man. And that's why like the cast also like I saw like some interviews or some like things about what they were talking about, because they all came kind of back together for like the 25th anniversary thing. And I mean that's why they've all stayed like really good friends. Like they say they still always like talk to each other all the time, hang out, whenever they can, because of like how much time they spent together, and how much like how hard they all worked on this film, and what this all means to them as well. So it's kind of cool to see that something like this can bring people together, and create lifelong friendships, and um, you know things that mean so much to even just the actors, and stuff involved and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool.
That is pretty damn cool, man. I remember one thing that Peter Jackson said at the start of the films. He mentioned that he will never do a 14-month straight filming again. He will never do that again. And this was the only project where he actually was filming for over 24 hours straight. And he said
Yeah,
he would never do that again either. So I would
yeah,
not do that again either.
yeah. That was great. He said, "Yeah, 24-hour days." I'm like, I can't even. Man. Like, I'd be so tired. Like, I wouldn't even be able to
Yeah,
function at that
no.
point either, man. Yeah, when he said that, I was like, Jesus Christ, that's insane. But
Absolutely, man. Is there anything else you want to add for the directors and
um,
writers and all that?
no, I think that's pretty much all I have for that.
Awesome, man. Well, we're gonna move on to our next section, man. like I said in the beginning, you can't have Lord of the Rings without the epic score and the soundtrack and the composer. So we're gonna dive all into that right now. So the composer for the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King, the entire trilogy, is of course the great Howard Shore. Howard Shore has done very many films and a lot of composing and scores for very many things, but his big breakout did not happen until this trilogy, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Howard Shore, of course, is a Canadian composer, conductor, and orchestrator. He is, of course, noted for his films such as Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies. And just to, I'm not going to get too into, there's a lot of scores, there's a lot of stuff going into this whole soundtrack, so I'm not going to break down every single thing, but I'm going to give you a little bit of some facts here about Howard Shore and about how he came to about creating this masterpiece that we now know of Lord of the Rings, and this beautiful score that I have hung up on the wall because it's just that damn good. But Howard Shore, how did Howard Shore research for composing the score? He did a lot, man. Howard Shore immersed himself in Tolkien's books and lores. He read every single one. He studied the languages, cultures, and histories of Middle Earth to create a score that was both authentic and was that word evocative. He also collaborated closely with Peter Jackson, of course, and the film's creative team to ensure that the music aligned with the director's vision and the overall tone of the films. I mean, he really had to bring himself into Middle Earth and kind of close his eyes and close out the world and think about like what type of sounds would you envision Middle Earth having, and he really nailed it. There's so many sounds, so many different ways that he arranged these scores to fit all three of these films. It's just incredible. And I love how Howard Shore used a variety of instruments, including a full symphony orchestra, multiple choirs, a variety of solo instruments. He used brass, he used strings, he used drums, he used percussion. He used everything that you could take, get your hands on. He did, including like the Irish flute, the Celtic harp, and for the iconic Rohan theme, that is my personal favorite. That's not just a normal violin. It's not a normal fiddle. It's called a
Mm-hmm.
hardanger fiddle. It's a Norwegian fiddle, which actually has, I believe it has 8 strings, so it doubles the amount of strings on a normal fiddle. That's why you get the iconic sound that score has, because it's a totally different fiddle. It's not a standard uh, violin, right? But yeah, he used so many different elements and so many different instruments to conduct his scores, which you can hear in every score that he does. It sounds different. It doesn't sound like anything else that we've ever heard, and I think that's why it makes it so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, just to name off a few of the themes that everyone should know, and by now, right, you have the classic, the Shire theme, which is the idyllic life of the hobbits. It brings to life a fun, it brings to life Bagan, it brings to life the Shire and the hobbits. It kind of tells you what the hobbits are like. They're very like free, they're very funny, they're very like in their own land, and it really shows to the audience, that score really shows to the audience what that Shire is like and about, and it's really spectacular every time Howard Shore uses the Shire theme. It's always for like Frodo, and it's always for something happy, and to kind of tell the audience that, oh, even though this is like a hardship that they're going through, you can also take it back to the beginning of the film where things were still happy, right? And then, of course, we have the iconic Fellowship theme, which is in all three films, signifies the bond between the members of the Fellowship, and is just an incredible theme. I do want to point out, when we first hear the Fellowship theme, was when they broke apart from fucking Rivendell, and right before they leave, you hear the Shire theme, but underneath it, you have this very melancholy minor chord structure of the strings, that is an undertone, and it kind of gives you like a sad Shire type vibe. And then you have this climax right into the Fellowship theme, and it just, you're just like in awe, because you get chills of how epic that theme is at
Mm-hmm.
that moment, because that's the first time that we hear it, and it just takes you like, oh, now they're on this long journey
Mm-hmm.
together, and it's a really important theme. That's why it is used throughout all three films. And then, of course, the next one is the ring theme. Every time the ring is shown, the ring theme happens. It represents the power and the corrupting influence of the One Ring. It's an iconic theme. I think it's the first theme in the entire film, I
Yeah.
believe.
Awesome.
If I might be wrong, but I think it is. And then, of course, the next theme is Gondor's theme, which is it evokes the grand history of the kingdom of Gondor, and is played a lot throughout. I believe Return of the King is when we hear it first. We might hear it first in Two Towers, but I think Return of the King really you really understand what the theme is in that movie. And of course, the last one, the iconic Rohan theme, captured the spirit and the culture of Rohan in it. This theme is really spectacular too because it starts off like a sad theme, but then throughout the two films, right, Two Towers and Return of the King, the theme transforms into like a brass, right? Now you have trumpets
Mm-hmm.
playing it, and it's like it makes it into like this like grand theme, and it's really incredible how Howard Shore developed that theme over the course of the films. But and then it's I want to point out the emotional impact that the score played into the films. The score plays a crucial role in enhancing the emotional impact of the films. It amplifies the joy, the sorrow, the fear, the hope experienced by the characters and the audience. The music underscores the dramatic tensions, the highlights moments of triumph, and evokes a deep sense of wonder. And it's carefully crafting the musical landscape. Shore effectively manipulates the audience's emotions and draws them deeper into the story. And he sure did that. He nailed that part of it. And then just some awards that Shore won just for him about the score. He won numerous awards for his work, including 3 Academy Award Oscars, one for Best Original Score for The Fellowship of the Ring and Return of the King, and one for Best Original Song for Into the West. He also won multiple Golden Globes Awards, Grammy Awards, and numerous other accolades. So I think it's no telling that the score that Howard Shore did really left a mark on everyone, and he want to have won a Golden Globe and a best, all an Oscar, all these awards, and he deserves every aspect of it, Eduardo. But yeah, that's just my little rundown. That was again a mouthful, and I'm sorry for y'all to keep listening to my rant, but I had to mention some of these epic songs. But yeah, Eduardo, anything else you want to add to that?
I mean, I think you nailed it pretty well. I did want to mention, yeah, like well deserving of all these accolades. And then like you mentioned, like we've mentioned before, this is definitely the best score ever created for anything in general. Um, and definitely our favorite piece of music for sure for anything that for any movie and stuff like that. But um, yeah, I mean, he did a great job, and like I said, I always give him credit for like music plays a big part of my life. So, but I couldn't ever create anything like this at all. So like for him to create what he's done for these movies and like you said, it nails every aspect of what Middle Earth is, the journey that they um, go through all this trilogy. Like it just fits everything so perfectly. And then, like I said, I'm so glad that we did get to experience these movies in theaters before we even do this show. Because um, listen to that in theaters was just so much better, man. For whatever reason, the theater I went to watch Return of the King was the loudest. So like, man, it just sounded so fucking good, man. Like it, like I said, it was so emotional. Like it hits. Like yeah, it's just a perfect theme that he created, man. Perfect soundtrack.
Yeah, man. Something that you just touched on about the last film, something that I wanted to touch on too. The music evolves alongside the whole film, right? The Fellowship of the Ring introduces the main theme and establishes musical language. The Two Towers features more intense and darker, and then Return of the King kind of is the climax. It's satisfying because every score is now to the max. It's not just like a
Yeah.
piece here and there. Every score is the full length score,
Mm-hmm.
and the last film really concludes everything, not just the story, but the whole vision of the scores as well.
Yeah, yeah, you can definitely tell because, like I said, like I said, well, I mean, it was the loudest playing theater for sure, but for whatever reason, that third movie just hit on a whole other different level. For whatever reason, watching them in theaters, um, no, Howard Shore for sure, like I said, deserves all the credit for such an amazing job that he did with this trilogy, man. It's so good.
Absolutely, man. Um, with that being said, I guess we can move on to our next section. This is going to be probably a longer section as well. We're going to move on to all the characters, all the actors, all the races, and all the people that made Lord of the Rings great. Um, yeah, Waro, you, since I just talked that whole spiel, man, I'm going to rest my voice, man. You want to go with everyone you got?
Yeah. So we kind of split the characters in
Cool.
half pretty much. So none of these are in order, as in like who shows up in the movie first. And then all of these characters encompass the whole trilogy. So like I said, once we talk about the Fellowship, the first some of these people might not show up until the second or third movie. But we wanted to just give you a rundown of, like I said, everyone um, important, which is pretty much everyone in the whole trilogy, and always has some type of part to play. Um, so yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with Mariotic Brandybuck, which goes by Mary for the most part throughout the whole movie. One of the very important hobbits that is played by Dominic Monaghan, who is a close friend to Frodo, and of course is a big important part in the Fellowship. Um, the second character is gonna be Peregrine Took, which is Pippin. Um, he is also a hobbit from the Shire, played by Billy Boyd. Also a big, important character, um, member of the Fellowship, and is a cousin to Mary. Um, another big character would be Galadriel, played by Kate Blanchett. She is one of the most powerful, most ancient elves um, in Middle Earth. She is a wielder of one of the seven, or sorry, one of the three elven rings of power. She also helps the Fellowship through, at least in the movies, through providing gifts and guidance to the Fellowship. The next person is Arwen. She is played by Liv Tyler. She is known as the Evan Star, so she's half elf, half human. Evan Star means she's kind of like one of the last, like most beautiful of the elves that are left in Middle Earth. Um, and then she has a pretty big kind of love story that gets involved with Aragorn, which is one of the other characters. She kind of has to choose between, like I said, 'cause she's an elf, so she kind of has to choose between mortal life in order to be and marry Aragorn, or you know, be an elf and then like live forever. So one of the other big characters in the movies is the Nazgul. They are known as ring wraiths or black riders. So those were there's a total of nine, which were uh, mortal men before they became the Nazgul. Um, and then they are kind of like the primary servants of Sauron. They were enslaved by the nine rings of power that were given to them by Sauron, which corrupted them into becoming these wraiths and kind of just bound to the will of Sauron at that point. There were once great kings, sorcerers, and warriors of men. And then I want to kind of like specifically kind of talk about the leader of the Nazgul, which is the Witch King of Angmar. Um, he is known as the Lord of the Nazgul, and he kind of plays a bit more of a important part in the trilogy. Um, then I want to talk about another big important character, probably the most known character of all, because whenever anyone mentions Lord of the Rings, this is the character that everyone always knows about, whether they know or they don't know anything about these movies. Which is the creature Gollum, or before he became the creature Gollum, he was a Stoor Hobbit by the name of Smeagol. A Stoor Hobbit means it was just kind of like one of the three original breeds of hobbits. The other two breeds were the Fallowhides and then the Harfoots. So this was played. Gollum was played by Andy Serkis, which I thought he did an amazing job. And then just a quick little side note: they're gonna come out with the Hunt for Gollum movie that's supposed to come out next year. He's actually gonna be the director for that movie, so it's gonna be pretty cool. Have him do that. And then so yeah, he's a very complex character, a very tragic character who has been corrupted by the One Ring of Power, in which, of course, he calls my precious, which is again another big thing that everyone knows about when it comes to Gollum. So it twisted his body, it twisted his mind, in order for him to get the ring. One of his friends, Deagle, was the one that found him. He killed him, kept the ring to himself, which caused him to then develop kind of like a split personality between Gollum and Smeagol. He kind of went off to live in the caves of the Misty Mountains, where his life was consumed by the addiction to the ring. The ring also caused him to be able to kind of give him like an extended life, um, and then ultimately transform Smeagol into, like I said, the creature Gollum. Um, the other character that I want to talk about is Elwyn. She was portrayed by Miranda Otto. She was a courageous shield maiden of Rohan. She's the niece of King Theoden. She is known kind of like for the desire to fight in this big war to defeat Sauron. She plays a pretty big role in the Battle of Pelennor Fields at the end of Return of the King. Um, in her role in defeating the Witch King of Angmar, that big battle. And then at the end of everything, she kind of marries Faramir, which is another important character, which is what we're going to talk about next. So Faramir, also played by David Wenham. Now he is from the race of men. He's a noble and wise captain of Gondor. He is the youngest brother to Boromir, and then the second son of Denethor, who is the steward of Gondor. Um, um, and he's, like I said, a very skilled warrior, great leader, who is who resists the temptation of the One Ring. So he's very strong for men. The other character I want to talk about would be King Theoden, um, played by Bernard Hill. He's also from the race of men. He is the king of Rohan. Um, First appearing as this frail under the influence of Saruman. Um, until Gandalf was able to restore him to his noble self, which is like this great warrior king that he is. He kind of leads the battle, leads his people in the great battle of Helm's Deep, and then comes to the aid of Gondor in the big final battle against Sauron in the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. And then the last person that I'm going to talk about would be Denethor, who is played by John Noble. He is also from the race of men. He is the steward of Gondor. He's the father of both Boromir and Faramir, who once was a proud and noble leader, but then became just this horrible person who just became cruel and like despairing mainly towards Faramir, and then just kind of believed that this great army that Sauron had, this great power, was just too overwhelming to kind of go up against. So then he kind of just, yeah, became kind of the worst version of himself at the end. But those are kind of the characters I want to talk about. Like I said, no particular order, but they all play a good and important part in the trilogies. Yep, yep.
Absolutely, man. Think you nailed it, man. You went in pretty damn depth, and now my character is going to be really falling short. But I thought I thought you did a damn good job of introducing those damn characters, man. Now I'm like, damn, all right. But good shit, man. I like it.
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys like
Uh,
a little brief kind of what these characters are and like just like their characteristics as and you know what like the important part they play in the movie. So
Absolutely, man. Can't go wrong with that. All right, so my turn. So I got a handful of characters and actors as well that I need to talk about, and of course, the first one I think needs to be talked about is Frodo Baggins, played by Elijah Wood. Of course, this is the protagonist of the entire trilogy. He's the one that carries the ring. He's the ring barrier. He is a young hobbit, of course, from the Shire, and he is chosen by the wizard Gandalf to return the ring to Mordor. Next on the list is going to be Aragorn. He is the heir to the throne of Gondor. He is the heir to Isildur, the rightful king of Gondor, and of course, he travels under the assumed identity as Strider. He is a lone ranger from the north, and that's how we first hear from him. But he ends up being one of the most important characters of the entire story. Next on the list, we have, of course, Legolas. Of course, played by Orlando Bloom. He is an elf. He is highly skilled with his bow and arrow, and he is always consistently killing numbers higher than Gimli, which is a very hilarious part of the entire movie. But if you don't know Legolas, I think everyone knows Legolas by now. He is, of course, the most important elf in the entire story. Next, of course, we do have Gimli. Gimli is played by John Davies. He is, of course, a bearded, axe-wielding warrior dwarf, and he is from the mines of Moria. His family is from, which we'll get into the next episode when we talk about Fellowship of the Ring. Next on the list, of course, you have to talk about the best wizard in the entire story, and that is, of course, Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen. He is a grandfatherly wizard. Gandalf is the first to understand the dangers that Bilbo Ring possesses, and his knowledge sets the whole trilogy in motion. And of course, he selects Quiet Frodo to carry the ring, and he also includes Sam to help Frodo and be Frodo's protector to navigate to Mordor to destroy the ring. Next on the list, we're going to talk about Boromir, which Boromir, oh man, poor Sean Bean, is played by Sean Bean, always seems to die in every movie that he plays. But Boromir is the heir to the Steward of Gondor. More than any other member of the Fellowship of the Ring, Boromir is the victim of desire for the ring, and we'll talk about that whole ending of the next movie when we get to the next episode of this series we're doing. Of course, we have Elrond, which is a very, very important character. He is played by Hugo Weaving. Very, very, I think, underrated actor he is too. Ruler of the Rivendell elves and Arwen's father that Water touched on earlier. Elrond is pretty much the goal of the Fellowship. His main concern is the safety of his elf subjects, and of course, he is also the founder of Rivendell, which I guess I can, which we'll touch on the next segment. Of course, we also have let's talk about Sauron. I mean, this is the main culprit, the problem child of the entire story, right? Sauron is the main antagonist that J.R.R. Tolkien created. He is also known as the Dark Lord who seeks to dominate Middle Earth using the One Ring. Now, he has a lot bigger backstory, which I'm not going to get into right now. But yes, that is what Sauron is initially what he is. So the next on the list we have Bilbo. He's played by Ian Holm. Of course, Bilbo is Frodo's uncle who possesses the ring at the beginning of the trilogy. And Bilbo is a playful old hobbit, but he is restless and he just needs to get rid of the ring because it's aging him and it's kind of low-key killing him. So Gandalf is like, yeah, you gotta like leave the ring behind and go off to your next adventure, Bilbo. And that's exactly what he did. Next on the list is going to be good old Sam. So Samwise Gamgee, played by Sean Astin, I think is his name. He is, of course, Frodo's best friend and constant companion. If Frodo's burden is to carry the ring, Sam is to carry Frodo, which he literally does. He carries him at the end. But yeah, we'll get to all that. Sam is Frodo's most loyal friend, and he is committed as Frodo is to returning the ring and keeping the Shire safe. Next on the list is Iramir. I think that's how you say it. Could be saying it wrong. But he is played by Carl Urban. He is Theoden's nephew, and he is the leader of the Riders of Rohan, which plays a big part in the Two Towers. Next, we have Treebeard. Treebeard is an Ent. He is not a physical person. He is a giant tree that is walked around, and he is voiced by John Davies, which is, of course, Gimli. He is a friendly ant who becomes Merry and Pippin's protector. I think everyone loves some Treebeard. Next, we have Wormtongue, which is played by the great Brad Dourif. As I say it. He is a disciple of Sauron. He is an evil worm-tongue, but is weak at the same time. He serves as an advisor to the corruption of Theoden and used the king's weakened state to advance his own agenda. He is exactly what the character's name. He is a worm-tongue. Next on the list, we're almost done. I swear we have Haldir. I think that's how you say it. Haldir is played by Craig Parker. He's an elf leader, and he is the one that is helping Rohan defend against the Battle of Helm's Deep in the Two Towers. He plays a huge role in helping that battle. And last on my list, we have to mention Isildur. He is the one that he's played by Harry Sinclair. He is the former king of Gondor. Isildur once defeated the forces of Sauron and came to possess the Ring of Power. He went to Mount Doom to destroy the ring, but the last moment he decided to keep it, which is now we have this whole problem where Frodo has to risk his entire Hobbit life to take the ring to Mordor because he just couldn't throw the ring in the fire. But yeah, that is majority of the major characters and the races that we want to talk about. Of course, we're going to miss a couple here and there, but those are the ones that we want to talk about. Anything else you want to add to the characters, Eduardo?
No, you actually did really good too. That was a great description for the characters.
Hell yeah.
Like I said, like you said, might have missed a couple, but we also kind of just picked the kind of the more important ones that kind of played a bigger role in the movies. Which I mean, it's pretty much all the ones we mentioned, anyways. So
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, man, that was good. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I'm excited to just be able to dive deeper into each character once we talk about the movie specifically. Like reading through the names, like I want to say shit, but I'm like, no, let me just save it for
Exactly.
yell shit out. Like, let me just wait until the actual movie for it. But yeah, man, I'm excited to keep talking about these characters specifically.
Absolutely, man. Let's move on. This is our final section, our final chapter of this episode, of this complete guide to Lord of the Rings before we dive deep into each one of the movies. This final section is going to be talking about the locations of Middle Earth. There's a lot of stuff on the map, which you can see now. It should be on screen for you. And there's just a lot of places, man, that they travel to. Just like with the characters, me and Eduardo also broke up some of these locations that we want to talk about. Eduardo, you want to go first and see what you got?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of crazy, man. How, like I said, Tolkien was able to create this world, like this huge map of like places where like everything's named, like from forests to towns, and uh, like I said, they travel through pretty much all of Middle Earth to be able to destroy this one ring, and it's just crazy. Again, like I said, just the world that he created.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I'll go off. These first two locations are kind of like one and two. I want to mention the town of Bree, which is kind of well, it's kind of like a unique village in Middle Earth, known for its kind of like crossroads location, making it like a hub for travelers. It is located on the Great East Road and Greenway, just east of the Shire. The second location, which is located in Bree, which is the Prancing Pony, which plays a pretty big role in the beginning of the first movie. Like I said, it's located in the town of Bree. It is a very popular inn where these travelers come and stay. Um, the other big location I want to talk about is Isengard, which is the stronghold for Saruman. Orthnak, if I'm saying it correctly, um, is the new is the center of is what it's called at the center of um, the the Isengard. Originally, it was a stronghold for Gondor. Saruman then corrupted the Greenlands and turned it into a wasteland of just industry and a place where he built with the orcs and stuff. Was he was able to build his army. Um, the other location, which is big, plays a big part, is of course Mount Doom, which is an active volcano in Mordor, where the One Ring was created, and it's the only place where the One Ring can be destroyed. That is where Sam and Frodo must travel to be able to destroy the Ring of Power. Um, One of the other locations I want to talk about is Fangorn Forest, which is an ancient deep woodland beneath the Misty Mountains. It is near Isengard, and is home of the Ents, which are tree-like sentients beings, which is led by Treebeard, and it's the Ents protect the remnants of the forest. One of one of our favorite battles takes place here in this next location, which is Helm's Deep. Helm's Deep is a critical and ancient fortress um, in Rohan's White Mountains. It serves as a refuge for King Theoden and his people in that great battle against Saruman's Uruk-hai army. It was originally built by Gondor, and then, like I said, it's the place where the big battle takes place in the Two Towers. And then the kind of the last place I want to talk about for me would be Minas Morgul. Um, Minas Morgul originally um, is a Gondorian city. Originally, the name was Minas Ithil, which was a fortress city at the border of Mordor, that fell to the forces of Sauron and then became the primary stronghold of the Nazgul. Ruled by the Witch King of Agmar, it was known as the Tower of the Moon before its corruption, after which it became the Tower of Dark Sorcery, a place of dread and evil. It was actually founded by Isildur in the Second Age, um, and then it served, at that time, it was Gondor's kind of like eastmost fortification, to watch over Mordor. So those are kind of the locations that I.
Damn, dude, you did great, man. That was again a incredible explanation of each of those locations, man. You went pretty damn in depth with it, and I like it, man. Um, so I have a handful that I need to talk about, and I guess the first one that I need to talk about is, of course, just Shire. The Shire is the land of hobbits. It is where the hobbits live, and within the Shire, you have Bag End. Bag End is, of course, where Frodo and Bilbo lives. That is their little home, and the opening scene of the whole trilogy is shown with Frodo, Gandalf, and Bilbo, and the whole party that they have, which we'll get into. Next on my list, of course, is what Frodo is trying to get to throughout the entire trilogy, and that is Mordor. Mordor is the land of Sauron, and it is a giant volcano that is the only purpose that they want to get to Mordor for, so they can toss the ring into the fires of Mordor, because that is the only way the One Ring can be destroyed. Next on my list, I need to talk about Rohan. Rohan is, of course, the land of men. It is the opposite of Gondor. It is the other realm where men live, and I think in the movies, Rohan plays a huge part, and especially in Two Towers. It is just north of Gondor, and in the movies, Rohan and Gondor has a very bitter taste between one another, but I don't think it's a spoiler anymore. But they come together and battle the armies of Sauron and of Mordor. So Rohan is very, very important. Next on my list is going to be Mines of Moria. So this one is plays a huge part in both The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, especially in the first film, The Fellowship of the Ring. This is where, sadly, Gandalf is kind of fallen into the depths of into the Mines of Moria, and this is where the Fellowship kind of takes the first dismantle for them. So the Mines of Moria is a very, very dark place in the Fellowship of the Ring, but it was once prosperous in The Hobbit, but not no more. Next on my list, we have the Great Rivendell. Rivendell is, of course, the lands of the elves. It was established by Elrond as a refuge from Sauron, and it is also became a refuge for the Rangers of the North and for the heir of Isildur, which is Aragorn. But yeah, Rivendell is very, very iconic, and if it wasn't for Rivendell, the Fellowship of the Ring would not be what it is, because they formed the Fellowship inside of Rivendell after they kind of needed to know what the hell was going on. So next on my list is going to be the Misty Mountains. So this is kind of this location is a passageway to Rivendell, but the way that they had to take the Misty Mountains was very not very pleasant. In the movie, it was a very hardship for the Fellowship of the Ring to trek across, but it is definitely an important location in the movie and in the story. And last on my list is going to be Lothlorien, which is, of course, a Elvish city, Elvish town, Elvish location inside of a forest. It is, of course, where Gladriel reigns, and that is her home. I think this part in the movie doesn't really have a huge part in it, but I think in the story overall, it plays a big part, so it needed to be mentioned. But yeah, that is the locations that I needed to share with y'all. Anything I missed or anything you want to add, Ordo?
Yeah, I actually noticed we missed two pretty big ones. You
Cool.
mentioned Gondor when you mentioned Rohan, but Gondor wasn't even on our list for some freaking reason.
Interesting.
So I'll go ahead and talk about that. So Gondor is a powerful, fictional, uh, or it's a powerful kingdom where the race of men live. It was founded by exiles from Numenor, um, with its capital being Minas Tirith. It is the last great realm of men in the West, um, serving as the primary defense against Mordor, and plays a huge role in the War for the Ring. Um, and then they said it was established by Isildur and his brother Anarim, both sons of Elendil, after the fall of Numenor, which, like I said, we'll get into that when we talk about the movies, but Gondor plays a big part. And then mentioning the capital of Minas Tirith, um, um, that is the capital of Gondor. It is a seven-walled white fortress city built on the mountain spurs and serves as the seat of the steward of kings, of stewards and kings, which is a big focal point in the final battle of the third movie, um, including the battle of the Pelennor fields. So those are the two places that we missed, and we might have missed some other places. I mean, Middle Earth is, like I said, huge, and they went through so many different places, but I feel like those two places definitely are important to the movies. So I wanted to mention those, but I think aside from that, I think we got everything down pretty good.
Awesome, man. Thank you for providing us with one of the biggest places that we forgot on our list, man.
I was like,
I'm glad
wait,
that
what?
you found that.
I was like, where the hell's
um,
Gondor at?
but yes, we do want to talk about that. This is locations that is more prominent in the movies, not in the books, because in the books, that's a whole different story. So we're talking about the films only here. But yeah, man, I think we nailed. This was a complete guide, man. We nailed the characters, the locations. We talked about the directors, the writers, the composer, the soundtrack, the concept, JRR Tolkien. We talked about how this has personally affected us. And yeah, I think this was a pretty good, complete first episode to this series we're doing, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like I said, I think we nailed everything. Like I said, as far as the complete guide, so you guys have a lot of information about the characters, locations, like Willie said, what kind of this all means to me, writers, directors, and composers. Um, So yeah, I'm excited to kind of dive deeper into the actual movies and give you guys our thoughts. I think we have a pretty good structure of how we're gonna do those too. So like I said, whether you've seen Lord of the Rings or you haven't, I hope you've enjoyed this kind of guide to introducing you to this world. And if you haven't seen it, then I do highly suggest that you go in and watch these movies because um, they're just the best thing that out there. So, yeah, man, I think we got a pretty good got everything down pretty good.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think so too. I want to encourage you all to go to X, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, all the good stuff. Follow us there, Saving Point Podcast. You cannot miss us. Please subscribe to this channel and share this channel to your friends and family, especially if they love Lord of the Rings. We have 3 more episodes coming, each one talking about Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. So please stay tuned for that. And with that being said, this concludes our guide to Lord of the Rings. And I hope you'll have a good night. And we will talk to you all later. Peace out.
Peace.